The Sky versus the Fever on June the 1st is going to break every single record for viewership there has ever been for the WNBA. It is going to be as hyped, or not even as hyped, almost as hyped as that NCAA championship run. And I'm here for it. And you know how it's going to get even more hyped? Because of the person you can see on the screen right beside me, the title of this video. Camilla Cardoso is coming back for this game. I don't know if she's being rushed, but it's in and around the timeline that she's meant to be coming back. And she is set to play this game. And a big reason is that I think she knows that this is the most eyes she's ever going to get on her play. She's going to get on her. I think her team know that this is their game. This is the game. And yeah, they're going to play, like these teams are going to play against each other 100 more times. That's an exaggeration. 20, 30 more times over the next few years. They're going to have matchups of Clark, Cardoso versus Reese, or Clark versus Cardoso, Reese versus Clark. Heck, they're going to be leaving teams and face each other plenty of times throughout their career. But we're still in the WNBA mania phase, and it will still be happening up to June the 1st. And this game right here it's going to set every record. Because again, Cardoso is one of the most relevant rookies in this draft. Does Cardoso have the star power of Angel Reese? No. Is Cardoso pulling from 30 feet consistently like Caitlin Clark? No. Is she as good defensively as Cameron Brink? Is she as good on the, like, as far as podcasts and stuff, getting herself out there as Cameron Brink? Maybe, we don't know. Is she related to Steph Curry like Cameron Brink? No. But do you want to know why she's so popular? Because she beat Caitlin Clark. She beat Caitlin Clark in that final, and she was the best player. She was unstoppable. Stulke could do nothing. She was huge. She was just too big. At 6'7", everything. She cleaned up everything in that game. The most watched basketball game of all time was, albeit like people there to watch Caitlin Clark, but the outcome of the most watched basketball game of all time was Camilla Cardoso dominating. Absolutely dominating. She went number 3 in the WNBA draft, and she went to the Chicago Sky, who also drafted Angel Reese. So you've got 2 people involved in that entire storyline. You got 3 of them. You've got Cardoso's first game, and you've got the first matchup of Reese versus Caitlin Clark. Is it going to be like college, where it was very clearly like when LSU played like Iowa, it was very clear that like Clark was the best player on the floor, and then Reese was the second best player on the floor, and there was a big gap between anyone else, like including Flo J in that game before Reese turned her ankle. Like, Caitlin Clark was unbelievable in that game, but before Reese turned her ankle, she was unbelievable in that game. Like, that was gonna go down to the wire, and even after getting hurt, Angel Reese was still good. But the 2 of those on the floor at the same time versus Caitlin Clark is gonna be huge. And we also have to think about how things work from like a logic standpoint when it comes to the basketball as well. So I'll be interested to see, like, Cardoso's obviously going to come off the bench, but Angel Reese has been really, really good. And I know that she kind of played in a bit of a too big lineup at times in LSU, but I think the talent level and the physicality of the players in the WNBA is so much so that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard with how little spacing there is. Like Cardoso, I know it was a game winner, but Cardoso hit 1 3, I think, in her college career. And Angel Reese, she's got to show me she can shoot the ball. The shot looks broken. She's a 50% free throw shooter on the year. I know she shot them a lot better in college. And to be fair, it's way too small of a sample size for free throws. But the shot looks broken. She's shooting 30% on around the basket, albeit gets a lot of her own rebounds. And it's going to be interesting to see what way they try to play with the 2 of them. Because I think maybe Reese's individual numbers might go down because Cardoso is going to be around the basket as well for those offensive rebounds. But they're going to be a devastating duo when it comes to rebounding. Like, the two of them, a shot goes up and it's probably a 50-50 chance that it's an offensive rebound or a defensive rebound with Reese and Cardoso in there. Because they're like, Cardoso's just huge and knows how to use her size. And Angel Reese is a tenacious rebounder. the most tenacious rebounder in the league. And then as well with Cardoso, she had a lot of success with Aliyah Boston. The two of them at times being on the floor together. They did have success with that South Carolina team. So it is really looking at this game. It's going to be the showcase. And it's going to be an interesting one to see because we're going to, once Cardoso comes back, we can really see what Angel Reese's role is going to be in the WNBA, because she's been really, really good at the center. Like, and that's just, I think that's more than likely where she's going to end up playing. She's going to more than likely be a center. That is just my opinion. Again, I could be wrong, but we'll see. We'll see with Cardoso. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong in my opinion. Because if she's able to coexist with Cardoso and they're able to form a good partnership, which they could well do, she might end up being able to transition to the 4. And I just think because of the way she plays, the fact that it's her speed, her switchability is something that you don't see too much. Like even like say a Cameron Brink, as good as she is on defense, she doesn't have that switchability. She doesn't have that tenacity on the floor that Angel Reese has. So I do think that like her, as she is undersized, but her as a center just gives you that extra bit of speed. It gives you that extra bit of like aggression, and it allows you, because she's so good at rebounding, you can surround Angel Reese with 4 kind of wings, 4 shooters, and she's going to rebound like a player and a half. And as well as that, like she's going to be able to run the floor. She's not going to be super slow. She can allow you to play a little bit faster. So I do think that Angel Reese is, I think that if she, I know people are saying, oh, she's a power forward. Anyone saying she's a guard, I know she might have played there in high school. I know she might have played there in Maryland. This is a different ball game. Like, heck, Mataz Buzelis played point guard in high school. People thought Thon Maker was a guard in high school. Man, that Thon Maker played as like a pick and roll big man when he played in the NBA for those 2 years. Like, high school, especially like in women's basketball, like as good as these top level players are, like there's no like the 10th man on a high school team in women's basketball probably isn't at the equivalent level of like the 10th man on a men's high school team. Like you go to any league, and that's just the natural thing of like less people playing the sport. I think that's going to change. I think that whole thing is going to change because there's going to be so many, with this current crop of players and with the eyes on the women's game, I think there's going to be so many more girls playing basketball now, and I think that that's going to change. But like every player in WNBA was absolutely dominant in high school. But when it comes to Angel Reese, I think having her at the 5, just it highlights what she's good at, and it allows her to do more of what she's really, really good at. But again, I could be wrong. She could develop her game, and maybe maybe her playing at the 5 isn't showing off what she can do. And maybe what she was doing at LSU wasn't showing off what she was going to do. Maybe she was being held back, and I could be completely wrong with that. I honestly hope I am, because again, as I've said, the better these players are, and I mean that with all of them, the better all these players are, the better it is for the league. The better every single player in the WNBA is, the better the level of basketball is to watch, the more fun it is to watch, the better it is for everybody. But it's going to be really interesting to see how Cardoso and Reese play together. I think they could play really well together. I think they could get in each other's way, and there's no point in there is a point in speculating because we're just talking about the sport, but there's no point saying anything concrete, saying they won't work or will work early. Like a lot of people were confused when the two of them were drafted together, but the Twin Towers lineup could work. It honestly could. But I do think we see Cardoso coming off the bench in this first game. But at the same time, even though she's been out 6 weeks, it doesn't change the fact that she's 6'7" and just physically as big as physically as strong, physically just ready to be a WNBA player, and the two of them could work very well together, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But that is going to be the most watched WNBA game ever, including any finals game, including that game was on national TV in 2001, which is the only game that has more viewers than Caitlin Clark's debut. This is going to be the biggest game by a mile.